Scientists say that it is impossible for life to exist on Venus. However, there are numerous testimonies from people who were there and consistently stated otherwise. We now present an important lecture delivered by VM Rabolú at the Exhibition Palace in the city of Medellin, Colombia, on July 10, 1979, in which he described what the inhabitants of planet Venus are like and how they live. VM Rabolú was a highly respected spiritual teacher. Throughout his life, he maintained frequent contact with extraterrestrial beings who visited him on many occasions. He traveled to Venus and spoke publicly about everything he experienced there. Shortly before his passing in the year 2000, he recorded in a small book entitled Hercolobus or Red Planet his experiences with extraterrestrials, his short-term prophecies concerning the future of humanity, and the keys to the spiritual transformation of the human being. Today, this book is available free of charge in more than 50 languages through the websites of the Alcyone Association, alcyoneassociation.com, and hercolobus.tv. We now present the lecture, Extraterrestrials, Life on Planet Venus, narrated from the original written text that has been preserved.
I am not going to speak any more than necessary, but only about what I know firsthand, about what I have been able to experience, touch, and verify. For me, the existence of extraterrestrials is a factual reality. What amazes me is that scientists, with all their instruments, have not truly managed, or perhaps have not wanted, to accept that there is life, that there are inhabitants, beings superior to those of our planet. I am going to speak to you about life on Venus, as I was saying, about what I know firsthand, and I could even swear to it if I had to, because I am not going to lie. Venus is a planet that, in reality, has nothing whatsoever to do with involution. We imagine other planets and want to compare them with our own, and that is where both scientists and those who have doubts make their mistake. We could never compare life on Venus or Mars with ours. There is a 100% difference. We are far too backward to understand and accept evolution, or rather, what we might call evolution, so that the audience can better understand, but which, for me, is the revolution of those planets that surpassed themselves many centuries ago. On Venus, the beings, men and women, are all of the same height. They grow according to their own will. There are no taller or shorter beings, no fatter or thinner ones, no uglier or more beautiful ones. Everything follows a standard. They all grow to the same height. They are all slender, blonde, with blue eyes. Their skin is, one could say, almost transparent, angelic, with an exceptionally soft complexion. They do not fear death. They are born, and they die entirely of their own free will. In other words, Venus is a paradise. Compared with our own existence, it would be what we call heaven. Let me explain. After they are born, they grow up and receive an education free of charge, without money. They possess a magnificent culture. Each person develops a skill and works only 2 hours a day, both men and women, each in their own field. There, everyone has the right to everything. Those spacecraft we have just seen come in 2 types. One elongated, cigar-shaped, and the other shaped like a chapel or circular in form. These Venusian craft are operated by everyone. No one says, "This ship is mine," or "That one is yours." They have docking sites and motherships from which a couple or a crew can freely set out for a pleasure trip after completing their 2 hours of daily work. They do not have to ask anyone's permission to take a spacecraft and travel wherever they wish. They simply take it, activate it, leave, and upon returning, place it back exactly where they found it, so that someone else can use it. That is what life on Venus is like. On Venus, for example, to put it in our own terms, they have restaurants. A Venusian who becomes hungry simply sits down. There is no need to order food, because it arrives immediately. Their intuition and telepathy are fully developed. As a result, spoken language is used very little. They speak every language. Even so, they hardly use speech because they have no need for it. Telepathy and intuition are more than sufficient. The Venusian eats, gets up, and leaves peacefully. There is no need to ask how much it costs, or pay anything at all. The same is true of clothing. It is standardized. Their garments are made from a fiber obtained from the sea. They produce elastic clothing that adapts perfectly to the body. Their footwear is also standardized. One size fits all because they all grow according to their own will. When a Venusian grows tired of having a physical body, he dies, but he does so voluntarily. He does not die from epidemics or disease as we do. Instead, he requests permission to relinquish that body so that he may take on another one. In their buildings, there is a passageway, or a slot, made exactly to fit the body of a Venusian. The body is placed into this opening, the hatch is closed, and a button is pressed. Within minutes, the body has been reduced to ashes. If anyone requests those ashes, they are given to those who asked, to be scattered at sea. Families, as we know them on Earth, do not exist there. What exists are couples or marriages. Children are born and then entrusted to the state, where they are properly nourished and educated. The father and mother, as we understand those roles here, do not concern themselves with raising the child, because they know the child will receive the proper education and will be trained according to his or her vocation. Thus, no one mourns for a child, nor does a child mourn for their parents, because those large family structures that exist on our planet simply do not exist there. What exists are couples. Throughout the planet Venus, every kind of machinery is powered by solar energy. Everything is automated. No one there sweats while working, because all labor is performed by machines. Just consider the difference in the construction of a building. They value life greatly. They are extremely careful. Suppose they are going to build a 5-story building. They begin with the roof. You may ask, but how can they build from the top down? They first construct what will eventually become the roof while it is still on the ground. In other words, they build the uppermost floor at ground level. Then, using machines powered by solar energy, they raise that completed floor into position and begin constructing the next one underneath it. In other words, everything is built at ground level. There is no need to risk anyone's life by hanging from ropes or scaffolding. No, sir. Whatever the height of the building, they always construct it from below, using devices that we might compare to giant rollers, all powered by solar energy, which gradually lift the completed structure upward. They always work safely on the ground. They will never expose a person's life to the risk of dying through carelessness. Another thing that stands out there is the trees. There are no gigantic trees like those on our planet. Their fruit trees are small, with very few leaves and an abundance of fruit. No one eats fruit the way we do here, simply picking it and eating it without washing it. They do not even touch the fruit with their hands. They use special devices to harvest it. From there, the fruit is carried into a rotating tank of water. Then it passes through pipes into machinery, where it is pulverized through a special process, before being used as food. The same applies to fish. The sea there is nothing like ours. It is completely blue and remarkably transparent. One can see to great depths, because there are no waves. The sea is as calm as a lake. They have special fish breeding areas where the fish are raised. They use specially designed nets that capture only the mature fish they intend to use, without harming the others. Notice this. The fish there are tame. Why? Because they have equipment that allows them to catch only the fish they need without disturbing the rest. Once the fish is taken from the water, it passes through machinery that removes the scales, the entrails, in short, all the waste. It is then washed in special tanks, before entering another machine from which it emerges pulverized. As a result, there are never epidemics there, because everything is carried out under extraordinarily hygienic conditions. I am telling you about things I know firsthand, things I have personally experienced. I dare tell you that they visit me regularly. I constantly meet with them aboard their spacecraft. They have told me that sooner or later, I will make a journey to Venus. They have not given me a date, but I am certain they will take me there. It would not be permanent, because I would never agree to remain on Venus. If I did, my spiritual advancement would stop there, and I could not accept that. I have a mission to fulfill on behalf of humanity, and remaining on Venus would be contrary to my spiritual work. Therefore, I would never agree to stay there, nor would I recommend that anyone else do so, for one very simple reason. We are here on a planet where, generally speaking, we are all devils, let's put it that way, because we live as though we were animals enclosed in a cage. If we were to leave our planet in order to revolutionize ourselves on Venus or Mars, our inner work would come to a standstill, because there, concepts like mine or yours do not exist. In other words, the defects that we have here do not exist there. Without defects, our work would stop at that point because we are so mechanical, so backward, that unless someone keeps prodding us, we do not move forward. There we would be like, for example, having a monkey in a zoo. That's what an earthling looks like there. In truth, you can see that I am not a pot-bellied man, yet I feel embarrassed standing beside a Venusian. Compared to them, I look like a freak, an abnormal person. Standing next to the body of a Venusian, one cannot help but feel ashamed. Let this also be an opportunity to describe these beings a little further. I will tell you that the Venusians are angels in bodies of flesh and bone. They are subject to our 48 laws, yet they are superior beings who have mastered life itself. They command nature as they wish. For example, if they want it to become cold, it becomes cold. If they want heat, it becomes hot. If they want the sun to disappear, it disappears. They govern nature in its 4 elements, with complete consciousness, and by their own will. There is something else I have noticed there that seems very strange to us. Here on Earth, when we build a house, we divide it into rooms, don't we? One room for the married couple, another for servants, another for the children, and perhaps another for a guest who may arrive. There, however, homes consist of large open halls. A house or building has no permanent partitions. Yet every service is available within that same hall. There are bedrooms, bathrooms, everything. How is that possible? Suppose a couple wishes to go to sleep. Life there is very free. If someone wishes to lie down and rest, no one questions it. They simply press a button, and an enclosed dark room instantly forms around them, with the beds already prepared. Everyone respects that room, because they know a couple is resting inside. They pass by quietly, and with deep respect. When they wake up and wish to bathe, they press another button, and a private room with a shower appears. These are not solid walls like ours, but partitions formed entirely of solar energy. In other words, within one of those buildings, every service one could possibly need is available. All that is required is to press a button, and whatever is desired immediately appears. The streets, avenues, or roadways, as they are called in Mexico, have a stationary strip running down the center, while the 2 outer lanes are in constant motion, much like the moving platforms one finds when boarding an elevator. If a pedestrian wishes to walk, he walks. If he prefers to remain standing still, the moving lane carries him to his workplace, or wherever he wishes to go. He does not even have to move. They also have passenger transportation, but it is completely different from ours. There are no automobiles with wheels. Instead, there are moving roadways connected to what resemble compartments in a building, each one numbered and clearly marked. The passenger enters one of these compartments. It automatically joins the moving roadway and continues on its route. In this way, accidents simply do not occur. Everything is powered by solar energy. Those who wish to walk may do so. Those who do not wish to walk need not. And those who wish to travel in these transport compartments simply board them peacefully. Just look at all the differences between life on Venus and our own. That is why people on Earth refuse to accept that such a superior civilization exists, one that is 3 times more advanced than ours. Our life is mechanical. Theirs is entirely spiritual. There are no churches or religions there. They have only one religion. The work with the 3 factors. That is, the elimination of psychological defects. Do not imagine that because they are Venusians, they are already fully liberated. No. They still possess what are called the residues of defects. So, they continue striving toward perfection. Their interest in our planet is simply to help us. Money means absolutely nothing to them, nor anything of that sort. What would they want in a pigsty? They know us thoroughly, inside and out. They know what lies ahead for humanity. They are striving to help us through their spacecraft. The time will come when those ships will be placed at humanity's service, transporting people away from danger and taking them to safer places. In the end, those spacecrafts will become the means of transportation for the Exodus, provided we truly earn the merit required to take part in that Exodus. Those flying saucers will be the vehicles used for that purpose. That is why they want to help us. The Venusians wear a belt with a large buckle, or switch, equipped with many small lights that flash on and off like the red and blue lights of a traffic signal. Whenever they are in danger, all they have to do is press that switch, or buckle, whatever we wish to call it, and flames burst forth in a circle around them from all the lights on the belt. That fire is so powerful that it can disintegrate a bullet. Now, there is an even more powerful weapon, although they very rarely use it. Every spacecraft, whether large or small, carries a small hermetically sealed container with only a single release valve. No ship is ever without it, because it is their most powerful weapon. Yet it is not intended to harm anyone. When they release only the smallest amount of the substance, or gas, inside it, it paralyzes the human mind, machines, weapons, airplanes, automobiles, everything. Everything becomes completely immobilized. If they were to release that gas among us, we human beings would become like idiots. They could do whatever they wished with us, because our psyche would be completely paralyzed. There is not a single spacecraft that does not carry this device. If they wish to immobilize an entire city, they would release only a tiny amount of the gas. They could then walk through its streets freely, and leave again, without anyone being capable of raising a hand against them. The weapon built into the belt, however, is 100% lethal. That one is designed to kill instantly. It is like a bolt of lightning. So, all these things I am telling you are first-hand for me. I have been able to experience all of this. It is not just once, or twice, or 3 times, that I have come to know and examine the life of these beings. For me, a flying saucer, an extraterrestrial being, is already something completely normal. They are harmless people. In no way do they wish, even in thought, to cause us harm. We are the wild beasts for them, and that is why they are appearing sporadically, to gradually tame us, so that we become accustomed to them, and so that they may land at the proper moment, without having to defend themselves. In reality, this may sound like a fairy tale to many of you, but I dare even to swear to it, if I were required to, because I am speaking of what I know firsthand, of what I have been able to experience, not once, as I already said, but many times. I believe this has been somewhat explained, and I hope you understand that neither intellect nor money can lead to higher knowledge. That is why Gnosis teaches and provides keys, so that each person can acquire and reach knowledge without needing to ask anyone, or use special devices to come to know something incredible, something real, something superior. Many years ago, I dedicated myself to research, making use of my faculties, in order to truly penetrate the practical path, and not be deceived by anyone. I am doing what each one of you should do. Begin on the practical path to reach knowledge. This knowledge has 2 aspects, the objective and the subjective, the heart and the mind. The intellect is not bad, nor am I against the intellect. But intellect alone is not sufficient for the esoteric part. One must balance the intellectual aspect with the essence, with the esoteric, or the practical. By balancing these 2 aspects, then we can say, I have knowledge. Because the word knowledge comes from knowing. This is where one makes a mistake, because one believes that if one has memorized 10 or 20 books, one already has great knowledge. That knowledge belongs to the mind. Knowledge of the heart allows us to overcome all barriers. Nothing is hidden. What one has not seen, one sees through the faculties. We can pass beyond all those barriers of occultism, beyond what was not real for one before. Therefore, the Gnostic movement, now with these reforms it will undergo, will make room so that every human being who truly wishes to reach his own direct knowledge will be able to do so. We can reach the life of Venus, Mars, and all those higher planets. If we long to reach salvation, we must work. As the Bible says, we must go to those merchants. That is, the same defects that keep us trapped on this planet. We must throw ourselves into becoming revolutionaries against ourselves. What we normally do is apply a revolution against our fellow human beings, when in truth, it is against ourselves that it must be directed. This is called revolution. There is a particle called essence, soul, buddhata, but it is God in miniature within us. And that divine particle is what drives our emotional part to go against our own enemies, the ones we carry within ourselves. We must not look for excuses. We must face the problem here and now. We must not leave for tomorrow what we can do today. We must begin to work on ourselves. When we begin to eliminate defects, we begin to increase that percentage of consciousness that we carry within us. because each psychic element has a percentage of consciousness trapped within it. By eliminating the defect, that percentage of consciousness returns to its source. It becomes conscious again. Then that light within us increases. Then we begin to learn to function in the different dimensions with full and perfect consciousness. What I have narrated to you tonight can be experienced by any one of you, as long as you seriously set yourselves to work. These are not matters from another world. Everything is within our reach and capacity. To want is to be able. Therefore, brothers, I invite you to reflect a little and not believe that this is impossible. All of this is possible if we truly throw ourselves into the field of facts, into becoming revolutionaries within each one of us. For tonight, I take leave of this community, wishing you many successes, and I will be with you again very soon.
I feel amazing in this new hoodie. The logo is so cool.
Yeah, I feel unstoppable in this pullover. Best purchase ever.
This t-shirt and phone case rock. I feel stylish.
We look great together! Best!
We totally rock this brand.
Oh,